as a journalist, I think one of the reasons, and I'm being #real talk on this, that
Okay.
the Me Too moment that started in 2017 took off and got so much coverage is because it went to the centers of power and wealth, and also race. It was wealthy white women, wealthy males, white males who were involved in all of this, right? Yep. Has the movement, or has the hashtag, whatever you want to call it, been inclusive enough when it comes to low-income Americans, low-income people, and people of color?
Here's another thing we need clarity about. The hashtag is not a movement, right? The work that we're doing on the ground, what Jen is doing, what I'm doing, what the people who have been doing this work for a long time are doing to support those people who raise their hands, that's a movement. The mistake that we're making is that we're allowing, and I have to disagree with what you said about this being a happy moment. I think the journalism that came that produced the moment was amazing, and I agree with that part. I think the journalism that's happened after it has not been supportive.
Why?
I think the journalism that has happened afterwards has tried to categorize this movement as something that it's not. I hope I don't sound aggressive. Do I sound aggressive?
No, you know what? Stop. Don't worry about being polite.
Oh, I don't care about being polite. But you know, people will be like, I saw her at the Aspen Ideas thing and she was so aggressive, but I was on a 15-hour flight yesterday, so.
No. You don't have to justify it. You can go ahead and say.
But I think that because it's so frustrating every day, that what journalism does, I'll give you a perfect example, because people send me this stuff all the time. I got a screenshot the other day of an article that started off and said, the Me Too movement wants Stephen A. Smith to apologize for flirting with something. I don't know the situation, right? So that's dumb. Let's start with that. What the media is doing now is it personifies this movement and it blames it for everything. And so anything that happens, anything where a woman raises her voice, just to be straight up and down, if a woman raises her voice to push back against any idea, be like, look what the Me Too movement is doing. That's not right. And it also is unfair to women who have been raising their voices, right? Now all of a sudden you can only be heard or understood or seen if it's this label is this lens. And so the media is not doing a great job. And if you believe or you define this movement by what the media tells you it is, then no, Black women, women of color, disabled people, queer people, trans people, none of us are included, but we never have been. There's never been a time in our history where the media has used by its own benevolence, raised the issues of the marginalized communities to elevate our stories, to help. That's not what happens, right?
Or your traumas.
It's to their, definitely not. It's only to their benefit. And so, no, to your original question, no, we're being left out. If you define the movement in that way, yeah, we are certainly being left out. And that's another failure, I think, of journalism, of that. If I was a journalist right now, I would go crazy. There's so many stories to tell. There's so many different ways to look at this. So I would be looking at, how does sexual violence happen in the Black community different than other communities? What's going on with trans women and sexual violence, right? Disabled communities, and there's so many different angles that you can take. But instead they're like, let's follow Harvey Weinstein some more.
Well, I mean, I don't know that the media is going to stop doing that, but
they're not.
But they certainly
that's
could do
my
more.
Point, though.
Yeah.
But that's my point. If we wait for the media to tell our stories, if we wait for the media to define this movement and we follow what the media says, we will never get this work done, and those hands will stay raised.